morning. My microphone. You see how soft-spoken I am in real life. So I don't have to shout. Good morning. Good morning, everybody. Let's do a quick word. I have a few minutes to spend with you guys this morning. We'll get into Genesis as well. So let us begin. In the name of Allah, most gracious, most merciful. Okay. Whoop. My thumb was here. Might as well just... let's go here. Okay. Surah 18, chapter or line 56. Surah 18, line 56. Surah 18, line 56 reads, we've heard this one many times. We only send the messengers to give glad tidings and to give warnings, but the unbelievers dispute with a vain argument, in order therewith to weaken the truth, and they treat my signs as a jest, as also the fact that they are warned. Amen. Amen. We've heard this one before. I've circled it. It's one of these circled passages. Okay. We only send the messengers to give glad tidings and to give warnings. But the unbelievers dispute with vain argument, in order therewith to weaken the truth. And they treat my signs as a jest, as also the fact that they are warned. Exclamation point. Okay. So what did we hear last night? We heard some glad tidings. We talked about uplifting really the Lord. What are we trying to do? Uplift God, uplift Him and the Creator, right? Uplifting God, giving Him some recognition, sending love in the direction of His children, of His people. But what are also messengers required to do? They're required to give warnings. So that's why sometimes these daily messages might be a little bit like jarring, if you will. Because the unbelievers, they dispute with a vain argument. Nobody likes to hear bad news. Nobody likes, or maybe you do if it's not about you. But if it's in regards to you, nobody wants to hear it, right? And what is the intent, even if it's something subconscious, the intent behind these negative emotions surrounding the word is to weaken the truth. And yes, we've heard a lot of stories lately that are hard to believe. They might seem a bit outlandish. But of course, that's what the opposite side wants you to think. They want it to weaken the validity and the truth that it is. But really, it's something that we'll learn time and time again is the truth never dies. It always prevails. It lasts and stands the test of time. Saying here, and they treat my signs as a jest. So these signs and these miracles that we hear of that happened in the day of old, as well as the signs and miracles that still continue to happen today, people will disregard. They think the person who is, vocalizing about them or telling their testimony might be crazy or, exaggerating or anything like that. They treat it as like a light joke. And then also, of course, the fact that they are warned. they don't take it seriously. So I guess this message here is, as we're reading these very beginnings of our nations, right, the very beginnings of the Bible, the very beginnings of civilization, we need to take it with all seriousness and all truth that it is. And you'll listen to a lot of people that say, oh, well, the Bible is half fiction, a lot of things are made up and, embellished, but that's just simply not true. It's recorded in the way that it's recorded in such fine detail for a reason. And yes, the Bible does leave out a lot. There's a lot of things that we don't talk about, but the things that are chosen to be in the Bible, after it's been rewritten and refined, those are the things that are really just, points to be made. So that's why we really are going over it with a fine-tooth comb, not necessarily rewriting it again, but just making sure that the message that needs to come out is being highlighted and is being heard, just so you have a general understanding. So again, we're going over a bit of summary of Genesis, but we are really trying to pay attention to the important parts of the narrative and the important parts that really have formed the entire world as it is today. Yes, there are things outside of the Bible that happened also during this time, but if we want to talk about like lineages and how these big families created the families that are standing here today, that's really how it happened, right? We're talking about bloodlines, all of that. Really had one starting point, and as we know from learning, it's not Adam and Eve. that was a failed experiment, if you will. So let's go ahead and continue. We left off talking about Hagar's son Ishmael and how they both ran away. He was a baby. Hagar was feeling mistreated, so she ran away and stayed somewhere else, and his son grew up a little bit. Anyways, let's go on to talk more about Abraham, right? Okay, bye-bye.